It's just in, Carlton from the Fresh Prince sues Fortnite, the popular kids video game, for infringing his dance moves. Does he have a legitimate copyright claim? Find out today on this edition of Reels and Gavels.
The popular video game Fortnite faces more lawsuits from celebrities.
Fortnite, one of the most popular video games on the planet, is under attack by Backpack Kid.
An American rapper is now suing the makers of Fortnite.
Are you out of your damn mind?
With the insane success of Fortnite, the popular video game, the Fortnite lawsuit craze has gone into full swing, with musicians, performers, and viral stars filing lawsuits against the widely popular video game on the basis of copyright infringement. It seems that everyone is trying to take advantage of the fact that Fortnite has been doing some unfair practices in terms of what they've been using to make their revenue. The complaints are based in misappropriation of the complainant's likeness and intellectual property, namely their dance moves. In the month of December alone, as of December 18, 2018, rapper 2milli, actor Alfonso Ribeiro, and viral star Russell Horning, better known as Backpack Kid, have all filed lawsuits against Fortnite for unauthorized use of their individually iconic dance moves. Now, this case may prove to be a turning point in copyright law, as it brings up an unprecedented issue of unauthorized use of pop culture references in video games. Fortnite is far from the only game which has used similar references, especially dance moves. Other major games such as NBA 2K18 and Overwatch, to name a few, have also relied on similar dance-related references as part of their content. Although Fortnite has a unique pay structure, as Fortnite is a free-to-play game with most of its revenue coming from in-game purchases, such as the purchase of dance moves and other emotes, as well as character outfits. However, copyrighting a dance, especially a dance move, is a tricky proposition and requires careful analysis. So for the purpose of this video, I will take a rather cursory look at what could prove to be the major arguments on both sides, and give some of my own predictions on which way these lawsuits may go. I will primarily focus on the Carlton lawsuit because it's the dance I am most familiar with, and because some serious questions about the lawsuit's validity have already been raised, the same day as it was filed. With that said, let's take a look at the dance in question. So here's the famous Carlton dance, as performed on Dancing with the Stars. The fact that it was performed as part of a fully choreographed performance may actually strengthen Ribeiro's case here. Now here's the Fortnite dance, which is shamelessly named the Fresh Dance. Now here's a look at the two dances side by side. As you can see, they are nearly identical, and Fortnite has gone to great lengths to make the dances look very similar. So what exactly is Alfonso Ribeiro claiming in his lawsuit? The complaint can be broken down into three major causes of action, although there are 6 in total. Ribeiro alleges that Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, directly infringed his copyright in the Carlton dance, violated his right of publicity, and unjustly enriched themselves through unfair competition. Now let's break these claims up and take a look at what Epic Games may argue in their own defense. So the first question, and probably the big question everyone's asking, is, can you copyright a dance? Well, you can copyright pantomimes and choreographic works as long as they're original. The main points of contention on this claim are going to be whether the Carlton dance is sufficiently complex to be held as a choreographed work. The 1976 Copyright Act extended protection to pantomimes and choreographic works, which were previously not copyrightable. However, choreographic works do not include social dance steps and simple routines. The Fortnite appropriation of the dance involves nothing more than 2 basic moves consisting of swinging your arms. Now, the argument could proceed to say that the dance is more complex than those moves as seen on Dancing with the Stars, but the dance isn't really identifiable by anything other than these particular moves, and it can be argued that the dance is nothing more than those 2 moves. The relevant case here might be Bikram's Yoga College of India versus Evolution Yoga LLC, which considered whether yoga poses could equate to a choreographed work. In that case, roughly 26 yoga poses were not found to be protectable under the choreography category of copyright, not 2 moves as seen in this case. The court particularly reaffirmed the definitions of a dance as a series of static and kinetic successions of bodily movement in a certain rhythmic and spatial relationship, Dance movements must be more than the mere exercises such as jumping jacks or walking steps. I think Epic Games has a strong argument that the two moves that make up the Carlton dance fall into the category of basic dance moves, or basic steps, which are not copyrightable. In addition, there are some doubts as to whether the dance is in fact original, as Ribeiro himself has admitted to being directly influenced by other performers, such as Eddie Murphy.
And then it was Eddie Murphy's White Man dance in his Delirious video. So, you know, when I was sitting there going, what dance would I do? I went, I know what it is. I'm going to do the White Man dance.
What dance y'all can do? Y'all can do this shit like this. But y'all don't do no moves. It's just this.
Now, the next claim Ribeiro brings is that Fortnite violated his right of publicity. So what is the right of publicity? The right of publicity prohibits any other person from using a celebrity's name, voice, signature, photograph, or likeness for commercial purposes without the consent of the celebrity. In this case, the celebrity's likeness is at issue. The first question raised is whether the Carlton dance is enough to equate to Ribeiro's likeness. Is Carlton or Ribeiro identified through the dance? Fortnite does not use Ribeiro's name, they don't use his image or characteristics as seen in typical likeness cases. It only uses a dance and the fresh name for the dance, which is arguably more indicative of the Fresh Prince show than the Carlton character. The complaint sets out to plead sufficient facts to show the dance is in fact synonymous with Ribeiro. With that said, Epic Games will try to argue that their use of the likeness is transformative, which is a recognized offense. Similar cases have been brought against EA Games for using the likeness of football players in the NCAA and Madden video games. In those cases, professional and college level football players were successful in bringing suit, as EA specifically set out to accurately use the image of the players down to the smallest detail, and what was particularly determinative was the fact that the video game was using the players' likeness to portray them engaging in the very activity that made them famous, playing football. The court might distinguish this case as Carlton was not known for being a video game character in a shooting game, and the appearance of the characters, the music, and the dance itself has been sufficiently altered to be transformative. A very similar case in this vein is Kirby vs. Sega of America Inc., which addressed a musician's right of publicity claim against a video game company. Specifically, a musician claimed that Sega misappropriated her likeness and signature phrases for purposes of creating a character. The court also found similarities in appearance between Kirby and the character based on her hairstyle and clothing choice. However, the court ultimately found that the character was not a mere digital recreation of Kirby, the singer, and thus passed the transformative use test. In summary, Epic Games has to show that it is adding something to the Carlton character, and that the dance is one of the raw materials from which the original work is synthesized, and not the very sum and substance of the work in question. The final claim of unfair competition is rooted in the question of whether consumers are being misled or confused by the Fortnite dance, thus hurting Ribeiro's own profits in the dance or damaging his reputation. I think it can be argued that if anything, Fortnite is a universally beloved game and it is helping spread the popularity of Ribeiro's Carlton dance. However, the complaint does try to argue that the dance is now being identified as the Fortnite dance and not as a Carlton dance.
Oh my god! Fortnite! It's kind of sad to say, but the only way I know that is from Fortnite. It's like a Fortnite dance.
There's additionally a question of whether Epic Games has done anything to deceive consumers into thinking Ribeiro endorsed the use of his dance in the game. The complaint tries to make the argument that consumers are being misled into believing Ribeiro directly authorized the use of the dance. However, a strong argument can be made that the dance doesn't use the Carlton name or appearance of the Carlton character, as any Fortnite character can use the dance, and there isn't an assumption that the dance is licensed through Ribeiro. A similar case that can serve as a point of contrast is No Doubt versus Activision Publishing Inc. That case involved the game Band Hero and the use of the band No Doubt and their likeness to perform songs which they did not consent to performing. The band filed a suit because they felt their reputation was being damaged by particularly having their male members of the band sing in female voices as part of the unlockable characters feature. In this case, an average consumer was likely to believe that the characters, who were unmistakably the No Doubt band, had provided their authorization to be playable characters in the game. However, the band only authorized their use for 3 specific songs which they themselves created. In the Fortnite case, it can be argued that consumers are not associating the Carlton dance with Ribeiro in the first place, but rather as either an original dance or pop culture parody being used in the game. Contrast this with Fortnite's use of NFL players' jerseys with accurate names and numbers, which are in fact licensed and would cause consumer confusion if that was not the case. In conclusion, I believe the lawsuits against Fortnite will likely fail in terms of the law, but may still result in settlements because of the reputational damage that may be caused to Epic Games for the ethical implications of using the hard work of other performers for its own financial gain. As Ribeiro's complaint points out, Epic has consistently sought to exploit African American talent by copying their dances and movements. This line of the complaint has no bearing on the elements of the claims made out by Ribeiro, but it may catch the attention of the public. With the record-breaking profits that Fortnite is making, it can easily afford to settle these claims early, or it can drag out a costly court case which will only be a regular blemish on its public record and may ultimately hurt its profits to a much larger extent than settlement of its lawsuits. Unfortunately, if Epic Games does settle, we may not get a concrete answer as to how courts interpret the unauthorized use of dances in popular video games. At this point, all we can do is wait and see how things turn out, but don't be surprised if a number of your favorite emotes or dances in Fortnite are temporarily removed from the game as the litigation proceeds. It can also be expected that more lawsuits will follow to strengthen the plaintiff's case. After all, so far all 3 lawsuits have come from the same law firm. Well, that's it for this edition of Reels and Gavels. Sound off in the comments with your interpretations and analysis, or just let me know if I got anything wrong. See you all in the next one.